So now we move to governance and good governance. So how governance and good governance impacts social policy, how it helps social policy implementation or hinders social policy implementation. So what is governance? So governance is how decisions are made, how resources are managed. So these are, basically this is governance. And in the governance, they are both formal actors and informal actors. So formal actors will be, for example, the Prime Minister. So he has a formal role in the governance of the country. Then there are informal actors, which will be the friends of the Prime Minister. So they may not hold any, formal post in the administration of the country, but because of their access to the Prime Minister, they can influence policies, social policies or other policies. Then there are formal structures and institutions and informal structures and institutions. So formal institutions will be federal cabinet. So federal cabinet and the ministers plus the Prime Minister, they make policies, they decide about the policy. And the informal structures institution will be the kitchen cabinet. So the kitchen cabinet is the informal group of friends, or which may include some ministers also, which the Prime Minister gathers around him. And it may also include some bureaucrats, which Prime Minister gather around him when he thinks of making a policy. So the kitchen cabinet, this group has no formal role in the policy making, but informally they may have power to approve a policy or disapprove of policy. And in the governance, government is not the only actor. So previously we thought if we are looking at the governance or the policy making process, it's only the government, it's the chief ministers, it's the legislature, it's the judiciary, it's the executive, it's the senior bureaucrats who make the policy. No, governors also include institutions and peoples and groups which are outside the government. So they also help and they also add to the policy making process. So such examples of such actors are, for example, business, media, military, other interest groups, NGOs. They all add, even foreign governments and formal, for example, IMF, foreign institutions, international financial institutions like IMF. They also add to the governance of a country. And actors can also be people who are involved in illegal activities. For example, the crime syndicates, they also may impact the policy making process. They are cartels, for example, the oil companies cartel or the sugar companies cartel or the cement mills factories cartel. So they also impact the policy making process. Even land mafia, they also affect the. So governance is not only formal actors or actors who have who are involved in legal activities. They also include informal actors and people who or groups who are involved in illegal activities. So what is good governance? There are many definitions of good governance, and we will look at that. But basically, they are similar and with some changes. Each institution, for example, it's the World Bank has a different take on good governance. Asian Development Bank have a different take on good governance, and European Commission have a different take. So in this module, we will look at how UN or a specific commission of UN, the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, what is their take and how they define good governance. So they have come up with 8 different characteristics, and they argue that if these characteristics are present, then it's a sign of good governance. And these 8 characteristics are participatory, consensus-oriented, accountable, transparent, responsive, effective and efficient, equitable and inclusive, and rule of law. So, and we will discuss each of them. So, participation means participation of all. Consensus oriented means that we trying to bring in different types of people who have different interests, and trying to bring each one of these groups together when we are making the policy. Transparent means that laws, the policies are made according to the laws which are there according to the Constitution, and people are have the opportunities to look at the policy making process. So it's open; they can look at it. Responsive means again that people's desire have to be looked, have to be given importance. So timely response to people's desires is important for good governance. Accountability, as everybody knows, is important. If there is no accountability, there is no good governance. Equitable and inclusive, all people, whether they are minorities, whether they are poor people, and all the marginalized groups have to be included in the policy making process. And it should be efficient and effective. Best use of resources and focused. The rule of law, of course, is important. There should be law should be same for all the people, and it should be implemented, and it should not be it should be enforced impartially on everyone. And these all 8 different characteristics, they are correlated with each other. So losing one will also make it difficult to achieve others. So we have to move to achieve all these 8 characteristics together. Otherwise, they will not be achieved.